Hello friends, this is the mnemonic. Let's learn together. This video is a preparatory or a preliminary video in order to understand the story of glucose in a better way. Here, in this video, I will talk about the energy harvesting systems present in the thylakoidal membranes of the chloroplasts of the higher plants. These energy harvesting systems are known as the photosystems. So let's get started. First, we will understand the concept of a pigment system or a photosystem. This concept was originated during an experiment done by Robert Emerson and Charlton M. Lewis in 1943. I got a photograph of Robert Emerson here. They were working on a green algae called Chlorella pyrenoidosa. He performed two different experiments. In their first experiment, they examined the action spectrum in the visible region of the oxygen evolution in chlorella, and they observed something weird in their experiment. They saw a sharp decline in the quantum yield beyond 680 nanometers of wavelength of visible light, and they named this phenomenon the red drop phenomenon. As you can see in this graph, the red drop is visible. That means the phenomenon that they observed when the wavelength of the light provided to the plant increased above than 680 nanometers, the quantum yield dropped suddenly. Now, the question arises, in my mind at least, that what is this quantum yield? If I have to define this quantum yield, it is the number of oxygen molecules produced per photon absorbed by the photosystem. The red drop phenomenon suggests that when the wavelength of visible light exceeds 680 nanometers, that means it is in the far red region of the electromagnetic spectrum of the visible light, the photosynthetic efficiency of that plant declines sharply. Now, they performed another experiment also. This is their second experiment, and in their second experiment, they took two beams of light. One of them is set up in the red region of the visible spectrum, and another one is set up in the far red region. And they applied both of these beams simultaneously to chlorella. They observed that the rate of photosynthesis increased 2 or 3 times more than the sum of the rates obtained with each individual beam separately. And they named this effect as Emerson enhancement effect, which can be explained by studying this graph. As you can see, we have on the x-axis the time axis, and on the y-axis we have relative rate of photosynthesis, which we are denoting by a letter R. In this graph, the peak A came when far red light is on. The second peak, I denoted as B, is the peak which is obtained when red light is on individually. That means the wavelength equals to or less than 680 nanometers. And the peak C indicates when both the types of light, the actual experiment that is performed by Emerson and Arnold, when they provide both the types of light, the far red as well as the red light, they observed a 2 or 3 times more increase in the photosynthetic rate, as indicated by the mathematical expression. The sum of A and B is less than 2 or 3 times less than the value of C. This is what Emerson's enhancement effect is. This effect suggests that there are two photosystems involved in the process of photosynthesis. What this Emerson enhancement effect suggests is the point where we start talking about the main theme of our video, the photosystems or the pigment system. The photosystem or a pigment system is a photosynthetic unit, a system of pigments that involves a photochemical reaction center and the antennal complex, which contains primary photosynthetic pigments and secondary photosynthetic pigments called accessories of photosynthetic pigments respectively. So how a photosystem works? As we have talked about, a photosystem consists of an antennal complex and a photochemical reaction center. This reaction center needs energy, which is provided by the antennal complex. These antennal complex takes take energy from the light, which excites the electrons present in these systems. High energy means less stability. So in order to gain stability, they must release this energy. Then how they release this energy? That is known as resonance energy transfer. One excited pigment transfers its energy to a neighboring pigment, which excites its electrons, and this in turn provide these electrons to other neighboring pigment system or a pigment, and finally this energy got transferred to the reaction center. That's why it is called the energy harvesting system. This is an photosystem with a reaction center and antennal complex. Okay, the antennal complexes take the light, convert that energy and transfer it to the neighboring antennal complexes by resonance energy transfer. Finally and subsequently, this energy will transfer to the reaction center, which will further take part in oxidation and reduction reactions and the transfer of electrons, which we will study in our upcoming videos. Now we will talk about the final step of this video, which involves the photosystems present in the higher plants. In case of the higher plants, there are two types of photosystems, photosystem 1 and photosystem 2, also known as the pigment systems, as I've already talked about. Photosystem 1 contains a reaction center which is iron and sulfur containing. So they are FeS type reaction center containing photosystems, and another one contains pheophytin and quinone in its reaction center, so they are called pheophytin quinone type reaction centers photosystem. Now, what is the difference between these two is that PS1, also known as P700, absorbs light beyond 680 nanometers, that means 700 nanometers or more, and another one that absorbs light equals to or less than 600 nanometers. This system is photosystem 2. So let us take and review what we have studied so far. The first is the quantum yield. The quantum yield is oxygen molecules released per photons absorbed, simply. It is a measure of photosynthetic rate or the rate of photosynthesis. The second thing that we have talked about in this video is the red drop phenomenon. This is the sharp decline in the quantum yield beyond 680 nanometers, and this suggests that the higher the wavelength of the light, lower the photosynthetic efficiency of that plant. The third thing that we have studied in this experiment is the Emerson enhancement effect, which suggests that photosynthesis involves two photosystems, photosystem 1 and the photosystem 2. And finally, we have talked about the pigment system, also known as a photosynthetic unit, which is a pigment system where several types of pigments, several types of pigments called accessory pigments, harvest the energy from the light and provide this energy to the primary photosynthetic pigments, also known as the reaction centers. And this is all about this video. We will talk about the pigments in detail in another video before our final video of photosynthesis. Making this video took a lot of effort and time. So if you want to support my channel and want to get more videos like this, please like, share and subscribe. Thanks for watching.